Hey, it's David back on BreezeFlippers. It's the midweek update, and so far this week has been kind of interesting. Had a few things that have happened, some good things to talk about, maybe a few sales that were okay, but just a couple mistakes that I made, and I want to talk about that. These things happen. And also I want to follow up on a video I did last week, which we talked about, so you want to be a reseller, watch this first. Okay, so I talked a little bit about some of the frustrations and things that goes on with being a reseller, and I get questions a lot of times, how do I get started? So I thought maybe we'd cover that as well this week, so let's get into it.
Find it, flip it, ship it, wear BreezeFlippers, keep it moving. Find it,
So before we get into our subject, let's talk a little bit about what's sold. So far, today, I've actually had, today alone I've had 6 sales, and 5 of those are to the same person. And I'll explain what went on with that because I turned a mistake into something better. So we'll talk about that. But I want to talk first about something I'd said in my last video that I just put out on Monday. I did sell a baseball glove, and I'll put it up on the screen to show you what it was. I'm going to say that sometimes you can make mistakes, and I have made my mistakes, and I will own up to this one, right? So I listed it, and I took a picture to do a sell similar. So my process is always take pictures, I do a sell similar, I take pictures, I grab that listing. I'll grab the listing a lot of times, and I'll throw it into ChatGPT, and I'll run out my full descriptions and stuff like that, and I pull that information, and I pull it over and put it back into the listing. Now, I did that with this one, and I realized after I was done that I did not have the right glove. It looked exactly the same. I had it listed as a Mazzano, and it was definitely not a Mazzano, it was a Rawlings. It was a brand new glove, still very nice, right? But I got to looking at it, and after I said that on the video, I was like, oh, that's not a Mizuno, that's a Rawlings. I was like, oh gosh. So anyway, so I went back, emailed the customer, and I said, hey, I had this wrong. It's actually a Rawlings. It's around the same price because if you look them up, they're very similar in price. But I said it's still brand new. It's pretty much everything else is there except it's the wrong brand, and it was an inch smaller. And she was like, "Nah, you can go ahead and cancel it." She goes, "We already got one of those," and so we were looking for the other one. I was like, "Okay, no problem." So I canceled it. Anyway, that was $28 or whatever it was. I think 21 total that came off of it, but that's fine. Relisted it correctly. We'll see. It'll sell eventually. It's something. So other than that, we've actually done okay so far this week. We've got about $280 in sales in the past 2 days, right? So yesterday, Monday, and today some sales. So far about 13 items. Now, I'll pop them up on the screen as what's sold, but first I want to tell you, this Pokemon buy that we did, little plush, that's been great. So we have sold several things. I sold another one, Pokemon Center, I'm going to pronounce these names terribly. Hitmonlee Sitting Cuties plush, 7-inch. It's an authentic Nintendo tag on it from 2021. Sold that for $34.99, got free shipping. Also, something that I picked up, I think I'd picked this up in a Dibbed It sale. Matter of fact, I know I picked it up in a Dibbed It sale. I only paid a few dollars for it. So again, Dibbed It, great place to source. If you haven't sourced there yet, go to dibbit.com, use BreezeFlips. You can get $5 off your first $10 purchase. Listen, it's fun. You don't have to buy from me. There's a ton of people to buy from, and it's a good time. These are a great group of people. So again, dibbit.com, use BreezeFlips, get $5 off your first purchase. I promise you, if you're sourcing other places and you're just kind of slow and you're looking for things, this is a great place to go. I sold a vintage Peg Leg Pete toy pistol, which is a 2.5-inch keychain. I picked it up for, I believe, $2, and I think $1 shipping. So I think $3 total because it was one of those, I'd already paid for a bunch of stuff and you got progressive shipping. So I sold it for $16.99. That'll go out with some free shipping. So it cost me $4 to ship it. So I made a few bucks. It's not too bad. Not going to complain. Sold another Pokemon Center plush. This one didn't have a tag, but it's a Pokemon Center Shuckle plush. A 2019 official Nintendo stuffed animal. Sold it for $27.99 and free shipping. So far, that's been paying off pretty good. So I'm very excited about that sale. We still got a lot of plush still being dropped, still being looked at. So a lot of followers on it. So we'll see what happens with it. Next, I sold some Lego. Now this Lego has been in there for a while. Matter of fact, it's been in there since April of 24. So I picked it up at a garage sale for $2. It's a Lego Spider-Man Ghost Rider versus Carnage car. It was incomplete, right? And I picked it up for I'm like less than $2, maybe $2. Anyway, sold it for $11.99, and I think we got, I have to look and tell you, I think we got $6.99 shipping on it. Yep, $6.99 shipping on it. So that went out. And then also, this was another interesting thing, and I think this is another one that probably was one of those situations where I sent out an offer and it sent out an email to everybody else that says a competitive offer was put in and they paid full price for it. So this was a Naughty Bear Xbox 360 game, 2010. It was complete with the manual, tested, it's clean, for $28.99, and that was free shipping. So since I sent out a $24.99 offer and it got a free, came back as a full rate sale from somewhere else. So, and then the next thing that went out, this was out, I think, again yesterday, was another one of the buy from the plush buy, but this was actually a Mad Balls Screamin' Mimi Series 1 Just Play. It's a 3-inch foam ball, and it's loose. It wasn't in a package or anything. Sold that for $19 with free shipping, and again, only cost about $4 to ship. Anything is pretty much $4 these days. So, and then last thing that went out, and I'll pop these up on the screen again, is we sold a lot of comics, a lot of 7 Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos comics. It was number 101, 103, 106, 107, 108, and 109. And 114. So these were all Bronze Age war comics, and they were in very good to fine condition, not super great, but they looked clean. So sold those for $64.79, and that went out with free shipping. So the next thing that sold was, and this has been in there for just really not that long, got this in May. Again, another Dibdit buy. Sold this from Dibdit. I think, again, I only paid I think $3 for it. It didn't sell for a ton of money, but also didn't really, I was going to put it in my booth, but I didn't. But this is a Power Rangers Dino Fury Void King with swords. So brand new in the box. Paid $3, got $11.39 for it, and it went out free shipping, so not making a lot, all right? But it was going to go in my booth, and I just decided to list it. I don't know why, but anyway, I did. So here's the interesting story for today. And I'm not going to show you the whole book. I will show you this. So here's the decision I was trying to make, and I have made, all right? So earlier this week, I got another policy violation, all right? And it was on another Playboy magazine. So I just told my wife, I said, you know what? We've made some okay money off this. It was an okay buy, right? It was a good buy. I made money off it. Let's have 60 cents a book maybe in there. I don't even think that much, to be honest with you. I got to look at it back at the numbers. But when I bought this, it was a good buy at the time because I thought, oh, I could sell these. There was no problem. But they have been kind of problematic in the sense that they cost a little more to ship than I expected. So I have tried playing with, $15.99 free shipping, and I've gone down to, I've made money off of them, and I've made probably some of my money back, most of my money back. But it's just, I'm just ready to get rid of them because this other policy violation, again, something came through. Obviously, there's a picture in there that somebody has flagged and said that this is inappropriate because it has probably a minor from 1950s or something in it. And I'm just guessing because I tried to find it. Nothing comes up. And I'm just not going to even contact eBay and say, just because I'm not going to go through it because I know it's not. I looked in line and I see a bunch of them that have been pulled. So obviously there's something, right? So I'm not going to mess with it. But I just told my wife, I said, I got to get rid of these. I either got to run a big sale or do something. So I thought at first, I was going to take them over. I can't sell them on Dibdit because that's just not, I just won't do it there. That's not what I want to sell. But I thought about selling them on Whatnot. But then I also thought, let's just run a special. So I dropped all the prices on them to $3.49. I put $7.99 shipping, and each additional is $2.50. So I did all that last night, and somehow on one book, I'm not going to show the cover because this one's a little racier than normal. Anyway, it's a Playboy 1974 May, and I somehow or another still had it free shipping. So it sold for $3.79 with free shipping. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna lose $5 or $6 on that because, by the time I get my fees taken off and everything else. So I had this idea. I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna email the guy and say, hey, just to let you know, I'm going to honor this sale, but it was supposed to have $7.99 shipping on it, but it said it was free. So my fault, I'll take that blame. And I said, but here's the deal. I have a whole bunch of these and I really want to sell them. So I will make you an offer. any one that you want, $1. You pay $7.99 shipping for the first one, $2.50 for each one after that, and you can have as many books as you want for $1. And he was like, "That's a great deal." I said, "Just got to get back to me in the morning because I got to ship today." I had to ship by noon. And he said he will get back to me in the morning. And sure enough, he did. He actually purchased 4 more, and he may come back and buy some more later, but he did. And of course, eBay, as much as there's a lot of things I love about eBay and what it does, but one thing it doesn't let you do is on offers, it does not let you combine those. So he bought them all. He paid the full $7.99 plus the $1, shipping for $7.99 on all of them. And I had to go back and refund shipping $4.59 on 4 of them, right? So, or 3 of them. So I went back and did that. So now the good news is it paid for the one that I did wrong, and I still made some money on it. So I'm actually going to make a good amount of money on it because it won't cost as much as what I'm charging for shipping. Although these things are heavy, I'm going to bet you these are 5 pounds of books easily. So these are heavy books. But anyway, that's a great deal. So anybody wants to buy some, I'll make the same deal to anybody. $1, $7.99 shipping on the first one, $2.50 after that. I just want them gone. I need the space back. So I have, you guys, you've seen it, right? So all this over here, all these comics, this is just, that's just some of them. And that's from an auction last night I've been working on. So there's comics there. And that's not even including what's in my living room, guys. So I love comics. I do. And I enjoy reading them, and I enjoy selling them. I actually enjoy photographing them. So I enjoy every aspect of the hobby on comics, but I am a reseller of them. So I do sell them too, but I also have my own collection. So 3 of those boxes over there are my personal collection. And then there's at least 2 boxes of graded ones that are my personal collection, but eventually some of them will be sold. So anyway, so that's what sold so far. Like I said, $280 so far, 13 sales, and the week's not over. So and now that I'm running this deal, I've gotten so many so I've sent out a ton of offers on these books. So I'm hoping all these magazines do get sold. I'm just ready for them to sell. And if they don't sell pretty soon, and if this doesn't work, I mean, I'm going to run a sale next. I'm going to actually discount them even further to, because they're at $349 now. So I'm going to discount them down, or $379, I believe. I think they're at $379. Yeah, I made them $379. So I'll discount them down further, off like 10 or 15%, so I can really entice people. But at $7.99 each, and $2.50 for each additional, somebody's getting a heck of a deal, right? So even if they're paying $5 or $6 a book, they're still getting a heck of a deal. So hopefully they'll sell, and get my space back, because I'm trying to recoup some of my office space. So that's what's gone out. Again, not bad, not going to complain. So midweek, and we're still getting sales, so I think it'll still come in. It's going to be kind of crazy. This week's going to be a normal week. I got my grandson coming this weekend. That's going to be fun. And then next week's going to be a shorter week. So I will have videos next week, but I will let you know that I am going to be going up to Tuscaloosa to move my daughter. And so we're moving her to South Florida. And that's going to be a process. So anyway, so I get to drive a big truck. I haven't driven a big truck since the last time I drove the big truck up there to move her up there. So, but fortunately, I've driven big trucks in the past. Drove them in the Army. I used to drive deuce and a halves when you had to. They were never fun, but anyway. So that was what sold. That's what's been going on. That's what's getting ready to happen. So let's talk real quick. Last week I talked a little bit about, so you wanted to be a reseller, okay? And then, so this week I want to say, okay, so you've decided to be a reseller, now what? And I'm going to kind of associate this to my story, okay? And some people have heard it, maybe you haven't, but you're going to hear it, okay? So when I started first reselling, I actually started reselling when it was called Auction Web, and that was back in 95 or 96. Maybe. And I started when it was Auction Web. There was still a lot of stuff going on. It was Yahoo auctions. There was a bunch of stuff out there. And I was selling information disc. And this was at the kind of the forefront of the internet and blogs. But blogs hadn't really started yet. But people were selling these books and these discs with like information on it that you could turn into a book, and people were selling these. It was this long deal. If you ever look it up, it was one of these get rich quick things. I told you guys, I've always been a serial entrepreneur. That was something I was trying. So I was selling these diskettes 10 at a time in a little box, had my little label on it, and I was selling these, and I was getting, I don't know, probably, I was going to say $29 or $30. It was a bunch. So you'd sell them, somebody'd send you a check, you ship them off. Okay. So 1997 in October, it was sometime in early 97, I believe, that Auction Web changed to eBay, right? And so we've been on eBay since then. So if you look at my account, it says October 1997. I've been on this for a long time. I never sold that much, right? So what I sold during that time, I bought a lot of stuff, but what I sold during that time was just whatever I felt like. So if I go, you know what? I found a whole bunch of telephones. We cleaned out somebody cleaned out an office in one of our office parks, and they were like getting rid of them. They were going to toss them all, and I was like, I'll take them. So I ended up selling them. So probably got $50 a piece for those, right? Sold them on eBay. Made $1,400-$1,500. Ended up all these kind of different things. I had some toys, rockets, different things like that. I sold over time on eBay. Just made some money here and there. So we'd have garage sales. Of course we'd have garage sales, and we'd sell stuff there, and I was like, I just, I didn't feel like messing with it. I didn't like the shipping. I didn't like all that. But come along, 2020 and 2020, the pandemic, 2021, as it was still kind of waning. But we had kind of made a decision in 2020 that we're going to do something because we needed a tax break, right? I wanted to get some tax relief, something that I could do. I needed a business, but I needed an outlet that I could do something. And we were going to do Amazon. So I did all the studying, I did all the stuff. We set it all up. We bought all the equipment. We bought stuff. We started buying inventory. And then when it came time to ship this stuff into Amazon, it started getting like really complicated, and figured out, I can't sell this. I can't sell that. I'm gated here. I was like, you know what? I said, we're going to have to get more money to get different stuff. Let's sell stuff on eBay. And because we already got the account, I'm already established. I think I had probably 270 feedback, and it was a 5-star, 100% feedback. So I was like, yeah, why not? All right. So we started selling on eBay. I didn't know how big eBay would get, right? So, and that was where my start came from. And I thought, well, where do I start? What do we sell? I said, well, we start off selling some of the junk that we bought to sell on Amazon. That worked. It really did. We sold it. But at the same time, I was like, I didn't have that much stuff. So I was like, well, let's just clean out the house, figure out the stuff that we don't want anymore that's been sitting around forever, and sell that. So that's the first step. So if you guys are thinking about it, and if I convinced you, or maybe I scared you, I don't know, from the last video to either be a reseller or not reseller, but maybe you said, yeah, I'm going to do a reseller. I'm going to do reselling. And you sit there and you kind of look at it and you go, but now what? Okay, I want to be a reseller. I don't know how to start. Okay, so you kind of hit that wall, right? You're like, that's generally where most people go. Man, I really want to do this. Oh, I don't know how to start. I don't know where to start. I will tell you the easiest thing to do. Your house is a gold mine. That's where you start. You start in your house. You start in the rooms. You go to your storage. You go to your garage. Wherever you have stuff. If you haven't used that stuff in a while, that's where you start. That's what we did. We cleaned out all kinds of collectibles. We cleaned out stuff, that we've had, stored under the bed, in the closets. I had all of this stuff when my wife worked at the Disney store. She used to get all these lenticular posters and all this stuff that she collected and had, and it's just sitting in my closet. It's just piles and piles of stuff. So I was like, let's sell this. And we did. We started selling it, and it started selling, and a lot of it. There's no cost out of my pocket whatsoever. We just started going through the house, everything we could think of, and we just learned. So we learned through doing, and that's the first step, guys. You have to just take the first step. The first step is find something to sell. It does not have to be a home run. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing that anyone's ever looked for. It just has to be something that you're okay with getting rid of, and that has some value. So start looking for those things. And I would say, grab a basket, grab a box, go through the house, and just start putting in there. Have I used it? What have I done with this? I don't know. If I need this, just go through and just put it in the box. If you don't know for sure, put it in the box. Don't look it up, just put it in the box, okay? When you get everything done and you got a full-size box, which you probably will by the time you go through your bedroom, by the time you go through a spare bedroom, by the time you go through your closets, by the time you go through your garage, there's usually a treasure trove out there. Anywhere that you have stuff that you're not using, you go through your closets. How about clothes that you haven't worn in years, right? If it's name brand, blue jeans, different types of things, pull it, put it in the basket, put it in the box, right? So that's when you kind of start. So you go for that first, and now you just go and you start looking the stuff up. It's quick and easy. You do a quick search on eBay, search by, brand, title, color, look at that up. You can use the photo search on eBay for some items. Try to see if you can find something close. See what other people have sold it for. Once you have a name of something and what everybody's kind of calling it, you can do a search by that name, and then you can actually go, how many have actually sold and how many are available. So now you got your sell-through rate, right? If more have sold than what's available, that's a win. So you need to try to put that one out there. So once you have these items and you know you've got them, right, and you've got them already, this is a very simple process of just taking photos, right? Taking photos. And then you can do a very easy thing, which I do. Don't make the same mistake though. You sell similar, check it, make sure it's the right brand. Okay, so it's a common mistake. But anyway, but you can start taking photos right into the app and take those photos directly in there. Now you get 24 photos to work with eBay. Take as many as you need, whether you need to show any kind of a flaw or anything like that, because you want to be as totally open as possible. If you're selling a magazine or a book, you want to show if it's got writing, you want to make sure that you have the right condition on it and everything. So it's just very simple. You start out with just a few things, right? Just a few things. And then you start selling. And then your goal is you want to try and find maybe 10 to 20 things in your house that you don't want, that you don't want anymore, that you're ready to sell. And I would not worry about hitting a home run. You're going to mess up in the very beginning. Everybody does. And if you don't mess up, good on you. But everybody does in the very beginning. And some people still mess up. I did this week, right? Twice. So anyway, it happens, right? But that's how you learn. You learn by doing, you learn through your mistakes, and you learn through other people's mistakes. The one thing that I will say that I did that really helped me, and this sounds crazy, is I started going through YouTube, because YouTube at that time, I was like, I didn't really watch a lot of YouTube, but for some reason, I started watching YouTube when I wanted to learn how to get better at eBay. And I found the common people. I found a whole bunch of people. The one that I came across was with Kevin Commonwealth Picker. I mean, I came across his videos, and through him, I found the Trash to Cash guys. I didn't learn much from the Trash to Cash guys, but I enjoyed it, right? So if you don't, you might enjoy them. I've learned some other people. I just learned to kind of watch and see what they were doing. And I went back and watched a lot of the old videos. I could probably go on. I think there's probably more, but I kind of have who I watch now. I don't, mostly a lot of my friends now and the people that I know online. But, there's a ton of information out there, whether it be me or anybody. And once you start looking for that on YouTube, it starts presenting it to you on YouTube. So this is the only thing I get presented anymore. Basically every time I open my YouTube up, it's either comics or reselling, right? So, or what solds and picking videos. So, and comics. So that's really what I see more than anything out there. So, but as you kind of go out there and start to find people that you can associate with, you find people that you can kind of follow, you're going to learn some stuff. But again, take everything with a grain of salt, right? Everything I say isn't gospel, right? I mean, it's not the only way to do something. If Kevin says something, it's not the only way to do something. Anybody that says something, whether you're watching Harry Tornado or whoever, it's not the only way. Make that decision for yourself, but you can take all that information in and use it to help make a good decision, right? So there's so many videos out there that'll teach you how to do the hardest thing, which is I think everybody gets hung up on, is shipping. Shipping's not that hard, guys. Shipping is making sure you have the right size boxes. Do you need to go out and buy a bunch of boxes? Do you need to go out and buy a label printer right away? Do you need to? No, you don't. You can use boxes. You get stuff from Amazon. I guarantee you probably get stuff from Amazon. Save those boxes. You can ship them out in that. There's no harm in that in the very beginning. We use a lot of different boxes. Now, I have my own boxes now. I buy them. I buy them from a lot of different places, but I have different sizes, and you'll start to figure out what you have. Like I had to buy a specialized box because I was selling these 11 by 17 Lady Death posters, and I didn't have a box for it. So I had to buy an 18, I think by, what is it? My goodness, it's a big box, 18 by 12, 18 by 12 box by 2 inches. So it's only that big, but it's that big, right? So you put the poster in there. Sometimes you have to buy special things and special boxes to ship something you want. But generally what I would do is if I buy something really big, I won't list it until I have a box to ship it in. And that's usually just kind of just smart, because that's the way I want to make sure I don't sell it and all of a sudden I'm like scrambling to try to find a box. So just sell what you have, but use the boxes that you can. You can, paper is not a bad thing to put inside there, wrap it up. You can get some bubble wrap if you have it. I generally, every time I order something, if I get bubbles or anything like that, I keep them, and I reuse them. So I try to reuse anything I can. My wife gets bubbles from the shipments that she gets at her gift store, and she brings those home and I reuse those. So we try to reuse as much as we can. As far as boxes go, we'll try to use it. If I need a special size box, I'm not ashamed to use an Amazon box. I slap a recycled for this environment sticker on it and send it out. So you can do that. There's no harm in it. And it doesn't, maybe some people would say it makes your business look less professional, but you're just starting out. Don't worry about it. Okay, so the whole thing is you want to get that first cha-ching. If you can get that first cha-ching, it's a great feeling. And if you haven't had that feeling yet, trust me, you can really, you got to try it. All right. So you get the stuff listed, you get it on there. There's so many different things out there you can use for best practices for listings. Just making sure that you have a good picture, making sure the listing has, the brand, the product, I'm trying to think of all the brand, the product, basically the brand, the product, the color, any kind of, just whatever you can put in there that you kind of front load as much of the information as you can on the front side as far as the brand, the name and everything. Those are the, and again, eBay even tells you how to do those listings. So look at other people. What I like to do is I also go in and look at what sold and look at their listing. And I will usually, if I do a sell similar, it pulls that listing title in there. You can adjust it, make the adjustments to your condition, make your adjustments to all the stuff. You can just use that as long as it matches. So, I would not get real bogged down in details. I wouldn't really worry so much about making the perfect listings in the very beginning, but just learn. You have something that sits there for a long time, redo it, figure it out, make it, kind of keep working at it. That's the whole point of this business. It's a continuous learning process. And watch some videos out there. Watch some of the people that resell a lot. Some of them are just, again, maybe like me, I try to teach a little bit, but a lot of times I'm just kind of talking about what's sold. That's how I learn too from other people about what they sell. I also learn what people pick. I love the picking videos, and I am going to put some picking videos up here. I promise you. It's just a matter of time right now. It's just that I have time for this, and I have time for some reselling stuff, and I have time for work. And then, once my daughter gets moved, I'm hoping I have a little bit more time. So we're going to work on that too. But, kind of watch the videos and see what happens and see if, what you can pick up and what you can learn. But if you really want to be a reseller and you haven't started yet, just start. Go find something first. That's the first thing I want you to do. So here's what I'm going to ask you. And this is what I will say, because I love the conversations. I get some responses and different comments, and sometimes I just get messages. But I want you to go and find one thing. Find one thing in your house. If you're starting to sell and you want to sell, find one thing and get it listed. All right. And then come back here, leave a comment and tell me what you listed. And I'd love to hear what you found. And I'd love to hear how you do. All right. So leave a comment if you get a chance. If you haven't yet liked and subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Let's take this journey together and kind of figure things out. I'm going to always talk about what's sold. I'm always going to try to do that. I'm also going to try and talk about some, helpful things, because I know what I've done. I'm not the greatest expert in the world in this, but we've made a pretty good run at this so far. So, and I've made a few mistakes. You can learn from my mistakes just as easy as you can learn from your mistakes. Okay. So, and listen, you know what? You can be a reseller for years and years and years and years and years and still make mistakes. So don't get hung up by that. I was just watching one of Kevin Commonwealth Pickers videos, and he sent the wrong item to the wrong person. I haven't done that yet. Knock on wood. but that scares me more than anything. I would be so afraid to send something out. But hey, we all make mistakes and we're all human. So you can't let those stop you, because they haven't happened yet, right? So go out and make them. Go out and make a couple mistakes. You're fine. You'll learn from that. I promise you, you'll mess up something one time and you'll go, man, I'm not doing that again. Maybe. I don't know. I can't think of anything I've ever done like the ones I did this week. But, it'll happen. So anyway, that's what's going on. I hope that I hope this helped you. I hope that you find something in it so that you can kind of go the now what. And so I'm a reseller. Okay, now what? All right. So there's no big secret. There's no get rich quick scheme on this. It is a great way to make some extra money. And there's so many other things I will tell you about that you need to do. Once you kind of get started and you decide it, you need to make sure you got bookkeeping. You need to make sure that you keep track of your receipts and what you spend. The stuff that's in your house, even though it's free, there is a cost to it, right? You can claim some of that. You need to talk to your tax expert or somebody, so you can claim that. So you can say, I went from 0 to 100. But you paid something for this at one point. So there's a, a depreciation amount that you can actually go in there, and there's a fair value that you can put on it. So if that item is technically worth, say, $25 today, and you sell it for 50, then you should be able to take the 25. Now that's tax advice. I'm not giving tax advice. I'm just telling you that there is some good to this, right? If you keep track of everything. Now, if you don't, so this year they changed the tax guidelines again back to what it used to be, 200 items and $20,000 from one source. So if you sold 200 items and got over $20,000 in sales from, say, eBay, you're going to get a 1099. Okay, not a big deal, right? If you sell under $20,000 and under the 200 items, you're not going to get a 1099. Doesn't mean that you don't pay taxes, or you should, right? But if you sell one thing and you go out and say, David, you're right, I want to sell one thing. You sell one thing, you make $100. I don't think anybody's going to fault you if you didn't claim it on your tax. You can do whatever you want, right? But maybe you don't want to sell anymore after that because you said, this is such a pain in the butt, I don't want to do it again. That's fine. But you do have some tax breaks that come with running a business. And that was one of the reasons we got into it. So every year that we've done this, we've improved and our business has grown, but we still get good tax breaks, right? It still helps me with our taxes. So I have not been paying $10,000, $15,000, whatever in taxes as much as what I was before. So I'm not paying near as much because we can write off a lot of stuff. Your mileage, all the stuff you do for sourcing, everything gets written off for us, and you can do that too. But consult your tax attorney or your tax assistant or whoever you use for taxes. And if you are going to get serious about this, then you need to get my Reseller Genie. And I think if you use my code BreezeFlippers, you will get 15% off your first month. And there's several levels of that, but my Reseller Genie is the absolute best tool that I've ever used to keep track of our business, and it does a great job. So anyway, that's my plug. So it's in the show notes too. You'll be able to click on that link and be able to get that. But I hope that you do take that first step. I hope you do something, and I hope you drop a comment and let me know what you did, because we can kind of all share in the success together, and that would be kind of fun. So anyway, I hope this has helped. I'm David Beckham, BreezeFlippers. We'll see you.